Okay, now we're back for the Shack part 2 of my review. Now, like I said, I was leaving off. um, oh my gosh, I've already forgotten. um, we talked about the modelism thing. We talked about the sin thing and how it says that this won't happen, this doesn't exist, that your sin doesn't really matter, that it's like it never happened. Sorry, I'm sitting up too. Um, but I'm also worried, like I said, that this will mislead Christians into thinking things, and mislead atheists that are becoming Christians and Muslims that are becoming Christians, that, that they're going to believe in the wrong thing. Modelism isn't right. That's always been a disqualification for me when it comes to Christianity. That's just like, no, that did not happen. And I feel so strongly against that I don't even know how to explain it. What was the thing I was going to complain about? Oh, I remember now. One thing that people have problems with it, I kind of want to defend it in a way. Okay, so the book, like I said, it depicts God as a black woman. It depicts Jesus as a Hebrew man, of course, with a beard and everything. And it depicts the Holy Spirit as an Asian woman named Sarah Yu. Now, it says in the Ten Commandments never to follow a false idol or a false god, not to put any false, or not to, like, imagine God as any image, not to make them an image. Because, I mean, God's not human. We're made in his image, but, I mean, that could be a numerous amount of things. It could be with our emotions, with how we learn to love and our relationships and everything, or it could be that we look like him. I mean, it could be numerous things, but God doesn't have a specific gender. However, the Bible does refer to him as he and father and himself and things like that. And I mean, a lot of preachers bash The Shack by W.M. Paul Young for depicting God as an old black woman named Papa. Now, there's two sides you can stand on this. You can say, okay, yeah, the preachers are right. This is wrong. This is against the Bible. Or you can see it as, okay, God doesn't have a specific gender, so we'll make him a woman, but we'll also call him Papa. Because at the end of the book, God also changes his form into an old man with a beard. Just like Mackenzie claims to have, always imagined him, which most people imagine God with an old beard and everything, and standing and being a huge guy in a chair and stuff, wiping our tears away, things like that. People tend to imagine as an old man. I don't know why that is. It's just a thing that everybody comes up with, that everyone imagines in their head when they think of God. And I love the fact that W.M. Paul Young, I mean, like I said, the theology's wrong, but you can see kind of right there where he takes it for himself, and he's like, there's two ways you can stand on this. You can say, okay, well, it's because he doesn't have a specific gender. Maybe I'm still wrong. He stands on it like that. You can say anything you want, but he does. He also tries to defend the book in a way at points, like I said, with the theology of modelism and things like that. He still tries to take up for that and say, this is right, that you don't have complete proof that I'm wrong, that my God is right, my God does this, my God does that. That's exactly the way he phrases it in interviews. And I forgot the guy that interviewed him here on YouTube. Well, it wasn't on here on YouTube. It was on a radio show, and Paul was apparently only supposed to have it up for like 5 minutes, and it ended up being like a 20-minute interview, I think, or half an hour or something like that, or 40 minutes. It was something like that. But it was a long interview, and I listened to the entire thing, and I loved it. Just watching them debate back and forth, just in general, very intriguing. You should watch it whether you're curious about the book or not. I mean, they talk about the multiple things like the modelism and everything else we've talked about here. But anyway, to get on to the good things about the book that I absolutely really enjoyed. First off, the book is written well. It's a very, very well written book. Whether you're talking about the vocabulary, the structure of the book, the style of the book, the themes it follows, and the random ideas in the book. Like, okay, for example, at one point, Jesus and Mackenzie are walking across the water together. Jesus is helping him along. When Mackenzie isn't with Jesus on the water, he cannot walk across the water. He can walk through it, but he can't walk like on top of the water like Jesus did with Peter. And at one point, when they're walking on top of the water to get back to the shack, Jesus bends down and he's talking about a fish in the water. And he bends down and he's talking about how someday he'll hope that he can catch it when he's swimming, when he's fishing. And this is like an awesome kind of symbol of how God uses us and how he brings us in to his love and his relationships and everything. Because Mackenzie says, well, you have the strength to control him. Can't you just make him come back to you and say, I mean, can't you just make the fish come to you, straight to your hook? And Jesus says, well, that wouldn't be fun. That ruins the fun. Something like that. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliantly written. I love that scene. I don't know what it is, but it stuck with me the entire time I've read the book. And then towards the end, when, like I said, God becomes the old man for Mackenzie and they go on a hike on the woods, and this is in the last, 30 pages of the book. It is absolute, well, not even the last 30, it's maybe the last 40 or 50. When they go through this scene, it is absolutely emotional and spectacular. But like I said, at the end of that scene, when they're done with the hiking trip, it is absolutely one of the best versions of a Bible reference, in my opinion. And like I said, there's just so many things you can enjoy with this, whether you're talking about the serial killer idea, and that's not really explored in this. It kind of loses that complete idea after the first maybe 50 pages, maybe 60, 70. It completely loses that idea, loses that entire train of thought. And it goes on to its own thing about, like I said, Mac going to the shack and trying to learn to forgive and learn to love God and build his relationship back with Jesus and God and the Holy Ghost. The Shack in general is a great book. I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to sit here and say that I lied. I enjoyed a lot of this book. However, if you are reading this book, make sure that you know your standpoint on your religion. As a Christian, I mean. Make sure that you know what you're talking about before you go into this book, because it's going to mislead you. And like I said, you listen to William Young's interviews, he denies every single thing that everyone tries to go against him about, and with the ideas of the book and the themes of the book. He completely denies them. He says, okay, this is the way I believe. The way you believe does not matter. The way you follow is what matters. William doesn't understand that. He still defends the book, because he originally wrote this book for his children, and then he was like, maybe I can try to get this published. And apparently the book is based off of something that happened to him. I'm not sure if his daughter had died or if he knew someone that had a daughter that died. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it happened to him from the interviews that I watched and the way he phrases things and talks about how Mac is really him. That when you're reading this, you're reading about him and not Mac. That Mackenzie is really him. I needed water. Sorry. I've been talking for 25 minutes almost. But anyway, I like the fact that William Young put so much heart into this book, and that's why I can't wait to read Crossroads. I want to see how Crossroads kind of unfolds too. They're the only two books that William Young has written. And I think he also wrote another book that was kind of like going back and seeing the success of the Shack and what it's done. And I kind of want to read that too and see how, if maybe he confronts the issues that people have thrown at him about the book's problems and the theology. Which, like I said, he's a Mormon. I'm pretty sure he's a Mormon. And I don't know if Mormons believe things like the modalism thing, but I know Mormons believe some things that are just, like, out there. Like, I can see somebody believing them, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, I don't see how a true Christian could. Like, it's really weird. I don't know how to rephrase what I'm talking about without offending anyone. But I don't know how Mormons, all of their beliefs work. But, like I said, I'm pretty sure William Young is a Mormon. But overall, like I said, The Shack is absolutely so much fun to read. But it has problems. Do not go into the book unless you know what you're talking about. Do not debate the book unless you know what you're talking about. You can't be an atheist and go into this book and try to say, okay, now I understand everything. You have to be the kind of person that you've read the Bible before you read this book. Or you understand at least most of the Bible, or seen a lot of things about the Bible. I prefer you reading it. Maybe it'll change your life, but well, I'm pretty sure it'll change your life, whether you're an atheist or not, because you're going to kind of consider things that happen to you. I have lately. I'm not an atheist, I never was, but I started having doubts a while back, and that's what made me kind of change over. And I'll explain that someday, eventually. But The Shack is a good read. Like I said, I'm not going to lie to you, it is a very, very fun read, and I wish they would make a film out of this book, but I wish they would fix the theology. But I know if they do it, that William Young's probably going to try to sue them and get it taken off the shelves because of what happens. He doesn't want you to ruin his book that he wrote for his children, and his family, and his beliefs. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about The Shack. So I guess I'm going to finish up this review, and I'm going to go do the Iron Man 3 review. Um, like I said, The Shack is very entertaining. And I haven't really read any Christian books, but I know for a fact that this is a well-written book. It has everything that a Christian book should have, besides the bad theology. But for the most part, it's well written. The characters are very well defined. Even though God slash Papa, I prefer to call it Papa because, but I tend to call it God by accident because, But Papa tends to have a weird kind of personality, and it's strange. It's really strange. And they always call Sarayu, the Asian Holy Ghost symbol, they always call her the strange one. To me, she and Jesus are the most friendly compared to Papa. Papa is Papa is loving and harmless, but at the same time, Papa seems to be just strange. So, it's weird to explain it. But anyway, it's a very enjoyable book, and I highly recommend it. It does have a very, very, very nice plot twist at the end and a very nice tie-up for the end of the book. I really enjoyed the tie-up. I thought it was very nice and well done, actually. Like I said, there is a couple of events that happen in the book that are just really kind of chilling. And that's one thing, like I said, my anatomy teacher that I thought was a total atheist, I'm pretty sure she's not, now that I know that she even read this. But even she said that the book itself is absolutely chilling. That you cannot read this and not be just chilled out by it. Like I said, it didn't raise many chills for me, but at points I felt like the things that the characters were saying were aimed at me. Like, you know how you go to a church service sometimes and you hear the preacher talking? It's usually God talking to you through the preacher. And yeah, that's what it kind of feels like at times for me. That raised chills, but that was at very early parts of the book. However, later on, when you're supposed to get the chills at the shocking events, I find them more jaw-dropping than chilling. But like I said, it doesn't really matter. It's the fact that whether you enjoy the book or not, you could find some kind of enjoyment in this book. Whether you're a Christian or an atheist, I know people that believe in aliens, that have that weird alien religion that I don't understand how that works, but it doesn't really matter. It's still weird. People that believe in that also love The Shack, even though it's a Christian book. They like Christian films and stuff. I know many people that are like that. But anyway, did you read The Shack? What did you think about it? Just curious. If you want to talk about it, put it in the comment section below and let me know. Sorry for making a half an hour long debate. Well, talk about the book. I'm just really interested in this book. And when I finished the first, I started reading today since I finished this morning. I started reading the first Narnia book, the first Chronicles of Narnia book, The Magician's Nephew. Never read it before. I've only read the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and I've seen the 3 films that have been made based on the live-action films, not the cartoon films, but the 3 live-action films on The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and the Prince Caspian film. I've seen all of those, but I'll eventually rewatch those, probably buy them. I don't have the other 2. I have the first one, which is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but, but when I finish Magician's Nephew, I will definitely be reviewing that. I'm to the point I love that. I've gotten like 10 pages into it, and I absolutely love that book. Everyone told me they were astounding books. I've only read Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. That was like 5 or 6, maybe 10 years ago, for all I know. It was in elementary school. Gosh, it was almost 10, and it was almost 10 years. It was like 8 years ago, or almost 9, because I'm turning 19 this year. But anyway, yeah, check out the book. If you haven't tried it, you should totally try it out. You might like it. You might be surprised what you find in this book that might really entertain you. So, thank you very much for watching. Like I said, if you want to talk about this or just in the comment section, just put it there. And maybe I'll be able to respond, hopefully soon. Thank you very much.